Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 7 math. You can find all the lessons on atlasstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. You have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 7 math, and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter ratios, rates, and proportions. The lessons we're going to cover today are understanding ratios, estimate population size using proportions, rate of change, constant rate of change. Please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. That I'm on grade 7 math. The chapter we are on right now is ratios, rates, and proportions. Let's just start with the learning ratios. What is the ratio of the red balloons to total balloons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So red ratios to total. And total balloons are 10. So the answer is 8 ratio and red balloons to total balloons because then 10 total balloons. So that is 8 ratio 10. Let's just start with the test. What is the ratio of green tubs to purple tubs? So which is the correct option? So there is one green tub and one purple tub. So that is 1 out of 1. Option number 1 is the correct option. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 1 ratio 1. Option number 1 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the red rectangles to purple rectangles? So which is the correct option? That is 1 ratio 3. 1 red rectangle to 3 purple rectangles. That is 1 ratio 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 1 ratio 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. What is the ratio of brown pentagons to gold pentagons? brown pentagons to total pentagons. We have one brown pentagon and two total pentagons. So that is 1:1 to 2 or 1:2. Option number 2 is the correct option. What is the ratio of blue jeeps to total jeeps? That is 9:10. Option number 2 is the correct option. What is the ratio of yellow balloons to blue balloons? That is 6:1. Option number 1 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the green parachutes to total parachutes? Green parachutes to total. Two green parachutes and total at 4, so that is 2 to 4. What is the ratio of the purple t-shirts to total t-shirts? That is 4 to 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. 4 purple and total 6, so 4 to 6 it is. Blocks to green blocks. We have only red blocks to green, that is 1:3. Okay, you can read the lesson by yourself. Let me just move on to next. The next lesson is estimate population using proportions. Let's just start with the test questions. Wombats are animals that are native to Australia and are related to kangaroos. To estimate the wombat population, Professor Morgan's research group trapped 80 wombats and tagged them. They returned the tagged wombat to the wild, and a week later, trapped two wombats. Of those wombats, 32 were marked. Best whole number. What is the best estimate for the wombat population? Mm, they returned the tagged wombats to the wild, and after a week later, 200 trapped 280 wombats out of 32 were marked. So you need to calculate the total population out of 80 were marked, right? Earlier they trapped 80 wombats and marked them. You don't know the actual population. You need to calculate the actual population. So x equals 280 times 80 over 32. So let me just do the calculation. 280 times 80 divided by 32. X equals 700. Option number 2 is the correct option, that is 700. Option number 2 is the correct option, 700 it is. A rancher wanted to estimate how many gophers were living on his property. So he marked 99 of them with tags. Driving around his property a few weeks later, he found 27 tagged gophers out of the 270 gophers he counted. To the nearest whole number, what is the best estimate for the gopher population? Twenty-seven tagged out of 270. Tag 90, you need to calculate the duration. So 27 times x equals 90 times 270. So x equals 90 times 270 over 10 and 90 times 10 is 900. So option number 1 is the correct option, that is 900. Option number 1 is the correct option, it would be 900. 990. So, oh yes, that is 99, not 90. So 99 times 10 is 990. Option number 2 is the correct option, sorry. Lauren is a scientist who worked with the Department of Agriculture in order to ensure a good harvest. Lauren keeps track of various local caterpillars population. She catches 200 caterpillars, marks them, and releases them. Then later she catch 810 caterpillars out of she catch 810 caterpillars, 20 of which are marked. So 810 and 20 of them are marked. So you need to calculate the total population, right? So x equals 800 times 200 divided by 20. 10 is 20. So 80, 800, 100. So that means the population is 80, 100 when they are marked by 20. Option number one is the correct option, that is 80, 100. A farmer wanted to know how many rabbits were living in his fields. He marked 45 of them with tags. A few weeks later, he drove around his fields and found 27 tagged rabbits. Out of 450 rabbits he counted. To the nearest whole number, what is the best estimate for the rabbit population? — 750. It is option number two is the correct option. Just do the calculations. So that is 750. Option number two is the correct option. Alice is a farmer who has noticed a lot of snails eating her vegetables and wants to estimate the number of snails on her land. She sets up traps and catches 30 snails. She marks the snails, releases them, and replaces the traps. Later, when she returns to the trap. She counted 1,000 snails, 12 of which are marked to the nearest whole number. What is the best estimate for the snail population? So out of X, 30 snails were marked, and then she counted 1,000 snails, and 12 of them are used 100 times 30 by 12. Maybe 500 it is, I think. 30 times 100 is 3,000. So 3,000 it is, not 100, right? 30 1000 divided by 12. That is 2500. Option number one is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself better today. Let me just move on to the next lesson. The next lesson is rate of change. Let's just start with the test questions. Mrs. Harley hosts an annual art contest for kids and she keeps a record of the number of entries each year. According to the table, what was the rate of change between 2006 and 2009? In 2006, the number of entries are 36, and in 2009, they are 33. So 2009 minus 2006 and 36 divided by 33. So that is 3, 2009 minus the distance between the years is 3, and 36 minus 33 minus 36, because in 2009 they are 33. 33 divided by that is negative 3. So that is one entries per year. Option number 2 is the correct option. Then entries are decreasing by 1. Negative 1 entries per year. Option number 2 is the correct option. Fans of the Catterberg baseball team compared to the number of games won by their team each year. According to the graph, what was the rate of change between 2002 and 2004? 2002, that is 38, and 2004 is 30. 2004 minus 2000 is 2, and 30 minus 38 is 8. That is 2 by 8. That is negative 4, sorry, 4 games per year. No, no, negative 8. 30 minus 38 is negative 8. So that is negative 4 games per year. Number 2 is the correct answer. In trying to calculate how much money could be saved by packing lunch, Grayson recorded the amount he spent on lunch each day. According to the table, what was the rate of change between Tuesday and Wednesday? That is $4 per day. Option number two is the correct option. A school administrator who was concerned about grade inflation looked over the number of straight-A students from year to year. According to the graph, what was the rate of change 2011-2013? 2011, 28 is, and 213, that is 14. -6, so that is -3 students per year. The correct option is -3 students per year. A pair of Greenhouse High School hockey fans computed the number of games won by the school each year. According to the table, what was the rate of change between 2005 and 2006? That is 3 games per year. Option number two is the correct option. 'At Lexington Consulting, the head of human resources explained how the number of employees with healthcare benefits varied in response to policy changes. According to the graph, what was the rate of change in 2013 and 2014? 2013, that is 21 employees, and 2014, 13 employees. That is -8 employees per year. Option number two is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself with Google. Let me just move on to the next lesson. The next lesson is Constant rate of change. Let's just start with the test questions. Basically, the rate of change in a graph is a slope, right? So we need to calculate the slopes of these graphs. These graphs show how the number of plants we can have in his backyard is related to the number of seed packets he purchases. What is the rate of change? So just select any 2 points on the graph and find the slope. The slope is change in y divided by change in x. The change in y is 2x is 1. Change in x 1, right? So the slope of the graph is m equals to option number 1 is the correct option. The graph shows how the total number of hair bands Heather owns is related to the amount of money she spends on additional hair bands. What rate of change? That is 2 hair bands per dollar. Option number 1 is the correct option. The graph shows how the distance Gabby has cycled depends on the number of trips she has taken to work. What is the rate of change? That is 3 kilometers per trip. Option number 1 is 2 is the correct option. This graph shows how the cost of a cab ride depends on the distance in miles. That is $2 per mile. Option number two is the correct option. This graph shows how the amount of jam Jason has jarred is related to the number of days he has spent making jam. What is the rate of change? That is 1.5 liters per day. 1, 2, 3, 3 over 2. So that is 1.5 liters one day. Per day, option number one is the correct option. The graph shows the total number of quizzes Dustin taken in high school. Depending on the number of weeks he had attended school this quarter, what is the rate of change? That is 4 over 2. So that would be two quizzes per week. Option number two is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself today. So we are working on grade 7. Math, the chapter we are working on is ratios, rates, and proportions. The lessons we have covered today are understanding ratios, estimate population size using proportions, then rate of change, and then constant rate of change. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons you just did. That is your homework until. So if you need more help with any lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you, or either you can write down the questions in the chat box. I'm here to answer your questions and confusions if you have any. And please write down the question in the chat box. No questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.